Hey everybody, Jimmy Pate here. Welcome to World Card Making Day week, wherever this finds you. I have a very special card mini class I want to share with you today, so let's get started. Okay, you saw in the intro a card that I made a couple weeks ago for a fall wedding, and what a lovely time to have a wedding. May I just insert that really quick? September is a beautiful time for a wedding, and it was a lovely wedding. The card that I made for that gift, I don't have it anymore because I gave it away, which is what I hope you'll do with your makings as well. So I'm going to kind of wing it here a little bit. I'm going to use, for the most part, as much as I could collect, the same product and supplies that I used in that very specific card. So let's go through that really quick. This is actually inspired by Heidi Swapp and these envelopes that she has come out recently with, that they're unconstructed, which makes them perfectly beautiful for die cutting, for stamping, for inking, for covering with paper, which is what we're going to do today. So that's where this inspiration came from. The next inspiration came from, no surprise here, 49 and Market. I am diving into vintage orchard like nobody's business. I am just super inspired by this collection, and you can tell, there's a lot of things out there that I have shared using this collection. So any collection will work, any paper will work. Use what you got and use up what you got, people. Don't just let it sit there dormant. Make something pretty and give it away. I have a couple of embellishments because we're going to craft also an embellished cluster. I have some sheer ribbon, and I also have off here to the side, this is actually from Crafty Garden, as well as from, Nature Study. And I just messed up that rub-on right there. Boy, that happens sometimes. I'm not sure what happened there, but that one got loose. So the basics of this card, like I said already, is this unconstructed envelope. Now, you can buy envelopes like this one here from Heidi Swapp's shop of an envelope unconstructed. But you can also make your own envelope from cardstock, any size you want, right? Which is so much fun. There's also a mini one of these, which could be super cutie as well. And so you can use an envelope punch board for making your own envelopes. And also, one of my favorite tools here is this Sizzix scoreboard and trimmer. And you can see it has an option here for making envelopes. So I have done this before with this board. Today, I just want to really share the concept today, and that is of covering and creating a card with an envelope. So what you're going to do first is decide on the orientation that you want your envelope to be in. And so to start, I'm just going to go ahead and crease, well, it's already creased, but fold these on the score lines. They're already pre-marked score lines. Super easy, right? The next thing I needed to do was decide, okay, how do I want my inside to be? And so I want the smaller flaps, kind of like a traditional envelope, to be on the inside. And there's lots of options for this. Now, the thing is, all of these flaps will have a pattern on them. Because today we're focusing on adding paper pattern to it. So then I decided, well, I'm just going to have mine close like a very traditional envelope. So this pointed part, this rounded part, if you will, is actually the top of my card. That's going to open up, and then you're going to see this. So make a decision. What is the orientation of your envelope card? And then from there, you can decide on patterns. So I love to stick with a color theme, and that's what I'm going to do here with this particular card as well. And I think for this one, I'm going to come in here like that. I want that to be there. I like this pattern. There's plenty of pattern on here we could use to keep it. And you know what? I might even, I'm making a decision here, because before I had the whole paper to choose from, right? And actually, don't think that's, nope, that's not long enough because it's going into here. So be mindful of how this is going to fit. So I think I'm going to come over here, and I think I'm just going to use a little bit of this actually and not the leaf. And here's why. Because on these other two flaps, this top one, this bottom one, they're going to stay the same. And I'm going to go with this Vintage Orchard Solid. It's paper number 5. And I'm just going to add that paper to those two flaps there. Now, this here, we could go several directions on here. Here's a couple things you could do. You could stick with this one paper pattern, and you could come in here with this, because there is plenty of room for that, with that green over there. That might be actually a really good idea. It's not quite as busy. I'm going to go ahead and make this like I did before. I used the painted foliage. I thought when I was said and done that this was a little much, that this was too much pattern for what I was doing. But I'm like that. I'm super conservative when it comes to my patterns. So it's still a beautiful card. You all loved it and requested this tutorial. The thing is, some of this is not going to be seen because as you saw that card in the beginning, I have an embellished cluster that's part of this flap in particular that opens up, and it doesn't come off. It is part of the card. So I am going to, I need to trim this off some. It was easy when I was using this side because I just attached it straight on. But I'm using this opposite side, so I need to go ahead and cut into it. And I know, I can hear you now. I can feel the anxiety. Yes, she did. She cut right into that pattern paper just like that. Now, just as a point of hoarding conversation, yes, I did use the H word, grab 6x8 paper for this. Grab 6x6 paper for this. If you're not wanting to cut into your big old 12x12 paper, well then don't. And know that about yourself, especially if you're gonna batch a whole bunch of these, then grab your 6x6 paper or your 6x8 paper and you don't feel so committed, right? And so I kind of think maybe that's what I'm feeling from y'all right now is like, oh my word, she just cut in to that big old piece of paper. Yeah, I did. Because this is the paper that I want to use, and I'm super okay with that. And look how much is still left. I got plenty of paper left. Okay. I am going to just trim right outside of my line because I don't want to shortchange myself by trimming too much off of here. And then my measurements aren't good. Not that my measurements aren't ever good. That's not what I'm saying at all. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I am just the worst when it comes to cutting a straight line. I don't know if it's my glasses. I don't know if it's my progressives. I don't know if it's just my brain, honestly. So I've kind of learned through the years, you know, give yourself some room. Give yourself some room. And I did. I gave myself plenty of room. What basically happens with all of these at this point is that you're just trimming right around your card template, your envelope template, and cutting off that extra pattern paper. And we're going to do this all the way on each of these papers. Of course, there's lots of options, right? You can have one pattern of paper and then everything else is rub-on transfers or stamping, or maybe you just want to ink it and you don't want any pattern at all. So all kinds of variations can come from this, from just your imagination. I mean, like, make this how you want to make it. But, you know, for funsies, follow along first. Okay, so I'm just going to come in here and sand the edges. I'll be doing this to all 4 sides. I just like to pull up some of that white core a little bit. I like a little bit of evenness from the paper to the cardstock. Pretty. So you can kind of see here how I kind of feel about, that's a lot going on. But we're just going to We're just going to own it. So now this was the original way. Get this straight. This was the original way that I did this. Nope, not like that. Like this. So let me show you that. Super easy when you're on the edge that you need to be on for your pattern paper. So you just put that right up against the fold that's here, but don't cross over that fold. You still need to be able to see that scored line really nicely because you need your flap to fold without being hindered. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. So we're just going to do the same thing here, except this time we're attached to the 12 by 12 paper, and just going to trim that as close as you can without cutting it into your envelope. Don't do that if you can help it. Sometimes it's a little easier to come in here with a craft knife and just trim that. Take your time. This is not a race. Just go real slow up against that boundary there. Yep. And we're just, since I've got this out, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this side doing the same thing, taking your time. Okay. Don't rush these things. This is part of the slow life that we choose as crafters. We take our time, we trim well, we think through our cuts. If we're rushing through this, like why? I had to ask ourselves, why are we rushing through this? Let's not do that. So you get the idea, right? This is as good as it gets. I don't even know what I was going to say. This is just how we do this. This is how we do it. Okay. Again, right up there, snug against, yeah, that's pretty good. Snug against your scored line. And then trim it out. Whatever you prefer. Craft knife or scissors. Take your time around your curves. Okay. And again, and move your paper. More than moving your knife, move the paper. It's always easier also to kind of pull this way towards yourself. They always say cut away from yourself. And I get that, but you know, we're not hacking off a tree or anything here. It's just paper. And we're going pretty slow, and we're all big people here, so we can go ahead and pull that knife towards us and then just trim away that extra. Well, you get the idea at this point. We're just adhering our paper and repeating. And when you go back over with a piece of sandpaper, you can kind of knock some of those weird cuts off of your curve there. If it's not quite to your liking, that's kind of the joy of sandpaper, being able to do that. All right. Okay, so let's embellish this. So patterns are all on. Gave you all kinds of options for what you can add to here in terms of your papers. Okay, I do know that I'm going to go ahead and add some a rub-on on here to give this a little bit of extra interest. I'm going to cut off and trim off rather this lovable that's right here. And I realized too, I've been thinking about this a little bit, and that is this. World Card Making Day is kind of like a jump off for a lot of crafters to start their Christmas cards. And so even though we're using a not specific to Christmas collection here, as all things, one of my big preaches is just translate this idea to any theme you would like. And goodness, while I'm thinking about this would even be great on a scrapbook page. Open this up and have pictures in each of these, or have a waterfall of pictures here inside. Oh, I love ideas. I love ideas. I love this whole opportunity for making. I love when we're making cards so much because it's always for someone else, right? And so turn this into a Christmas card. That'd be really fun with your picture, your family's picture, like right here, either orientation that you put this. Oh, that's a good idea, Jamie. Yeah, I know. I'm full of them. Okay, so just trying to get this rub-on on here and talking at the same time is quite a task. Okay, so I know that's going to go there. I know that this time embellishment is going to be part of that. I know I'm going to put these leaves up here. I might even grab another one. Those are kind of small, and I think I might want something a little bigger than that. I also know I'm going to grab this butterfly here. I wanted to keep my butterfly in the same color story, so that's why I went and searched for a green butterfly. And so when I am going to rub this on, it's going to be onto vellum, and it's still going to have a real ethereal look to it, which I really love doing with rub-ons. This is one of my most favorite techniques here. Okay, my audio is picking something up in this video. My apologies. So I'm just jumping in here for a voiceover because we're going through the motions of transferring this rub-on transfer to the vellum. And I'm going over it several times, making sure it actually transfers nicely. And so I'm going to encourage you to take your time when you do this as well. You'll be really happy with the results to have that complete image where you want it. Now I'm trimming, fussy cutting with some small scissors, just as close to that image as I can. I don't include the antenna. I trim them out, and that's how we do this. I'm going to start building this, and it's going to come. What I need to do is do this kind of up high here. And I'm coming over here as far as I can, leaving almost a 1/4 inch. I'm making sure that my foam is not showing there. That's about, well, I take that back. I was going to say that's about the only place you can add the foam adhesive, and I'm off camera here with this, but this is what I'm using here. These squares, but I'm going to add a piece in here too. Sometimes you don't really know where you want this until it's in place. I mean, I don't have a sketch of exactly where everything is, but to have the foam up here and here, then it's not going to kind of wilt there on the front of this, and it's not showing on the back side, which to me is of importance. So then let's continue to build this. Sometimes you got to get in here with 3 hands and figure out where you want everything. It's a bit of a trick. And I think last time I used a smaller label. So any kind of label is going to work for you here on the front of it. Mine's kind of a larger one. Kind of just went with what I found. Honestly, it's not like I put a huge amount of thought into all the elements. But looking back, I think I might, I don't know if it needs to have a small one. Who says anything needs anything? And I'm tearing these leaves off of their stems. And so I know that's going to go there. And I actually want to use a piece of 1/8 inch foam strip. And it just goes right underneath the body. You're not really seeing it. Make sure you don't have any poking out. And if you do, just, as with all things, trim it out. Okay? So, butterfly is going to go here where it's overlapping the definition rub-on, and overlapping the this time a little bit without covering up completely. And, you know, you've got a little bit of time here. You can twist these off. I'm just going to lower it a little bit and give it just a little bit more space. And I like that. And I think I'm actually going to use a dab of hot glue here at the bottom of this. And then tuck it underneath. I'm starting with the large one first. Kind of giving it a little bit of a bend. I'm going to do the same thing here. I like threes. I like odd numbers when I'm crafting these clusters. So I'm just lifting up this time a little bit, tucking that underneath, making sure it's adhered, and I believe it is. And I was questioning whether this leaf was going to be big enough, and I think it's going to be okay, actually. And again, you just don't know always till you get in here. This is an art, not a science. So if we're going about placing these items, I realize dimensions are pretty important, and very often we need those. But sometimes it's a feeling, it's a gut. It's an emotion. It's a connection of, oh, wait, I really like that. Now, one of the things I did with my other card is, I might have had this in place first. I basically almost forgot the ribbon. But if you can get your ribbon through here, then this is your closure. Okay. So I have not measured my ribbon because I wanted to pull it through first. I'm trying to make it so that it's not folding over itself too much. But I also want to give myself enough room here to tie this off. Okay, so we need to mess with this a bit because I don't want it, like I said, I don't want it to fold itself over here on this side. I want it to be wide. There we go. Got it. So fuddle with that till you're liking it. And then just tie it closed. So what do you think? Think this is something you try? Would you make your own envelopes? Would you buy pre-made envelopes? You could even get really super fancy. I hate to even say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. And open a paper envelope. You could do that. I don't know if I'd like the structure of a paper one, though. I think I'm a fan of having heavier cardstock being my template for my envelope. And that's how that went. That's how, for the most part, except for a little bit of change in some of the embellishments, this is how that envelope card came into existence. The recipient can open that up. You can add anything to the inside. If it's just a sentiment, you can write your note in here. You can add more stamping, more rub-ons. You could add more butterflies. You could make another art scene in here with the florals and a definition and another butterfly. You can add a pocket, die cut a pocket in your favorite paper that you're using as well, and put that to work inside your card too. This would be, I already mentioned this once before, but I'm a huge fan of where else can we use these ideas. This would be lovely on a memory planner page is what I want to say, or a scrapbook page as well. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to try this. Let me know how you would go about this in terms of how you're going to craft your envelope. And I will for sure see you in the next video.